right. Mount Rushmore, the monuments in DC and in other places, the Pledge of Allegiance, the actual American flag, the US currency, the pictures on US currency, names of businesses, names of streets, names of schools. Did I say Mount Rushmore? What do you think that is? Those are actions, those are symbols of ancestral veneration. And it's been in our faces all this time. But yet you, as a Black woman, as a woman of the diaspora, you are always told that if you built rituals, created rituals, venerated your own ancestors, that was evil. But yet, ancestral veneration has been in your face this entire time, glaring in your face this entire time. And it has always been so interesting to me, even when I was having my religious experience. That was always in the back of my mind. I thought, why is it that all these other cultures seem to be celebrating those that came before them, seem to be celebrating the practices of those that came before them. But yet, when you talk about Blackness, the Blackness in ancestral veneration, then all of a sudden people lose their shit. All of a sudden people have a problem. Why is that? That always rang in the back of my mind. It never made sense. And this beautiful ritual, this beautiful act of venerating our ancestors, it's coming back up again as an issue, as a problem. Ancestral veneration of other cultures are in our face daily. And I know I've said this 3 times already, and we're not even 3 minutes in. Ancestral veneration of others' ancestors are in your face daily, but you were told for you to do that, it was evil. What is it about that melanin? What is it about that Blackness that bothers people so much? Other cultures are not told repeatedly that honoring their ancestors are evil. So what is it about the melam, MELAM? What is it about the Blackness that makes people feel so uncomfortable? It even makes Black women who are still shackled by religious dogma, it even makes them pass out from fear. And I can say that because I used to be one of those Black women that when you started to talk about ancestral veneration, when you would see that, just out in the world outside of the church, it would be a problem. Even though I just said that was always in the back of my head, it didn't make sense, but still, even to see that, I was still afraid of it. That is how powerful religious dogma is. Someone left me a question in the comments, and I think it was TikTok. It doesn't matter the platform. Anyway, someone left me a comment and asked a beautiful question. They said, well, how do I connect with my ancestors? How? And I'm sure that she was not the only person that has had that question. And I'm going to answer that in this video. All right. So, the first thing that you have to do, if you're watching this as a Black woman and you are navigating your life after religion, and you're wanting to, which to me seems like a natural progression, you're wanting to reconnect with your ancestors, then I'm talking to you as well. All right. The first thing that you want to do is recognize that every time you look in a mirror, whether it's at home when you're getting dressed, in your bathroom, the makeup mirror that you have in your makeup bag, every time you look at yourself, you are looking at the ancestors that you know and the ancestors that you don't know. Every single time you're looking at your ancestors. When you look at yourself, you're looking at your ancestors. So, first, that is the first thing you have to recognize. All right. Also, you have to recognize that your ancestors aren't separate from you and you are not separate from them. Understand that and I used to have the exact number. I think the exact number is like 4,083 or something like that. Over 4,000. It took over 4,000 ancestors for you to be here in this moment, for you to have the features you have, for you to have your mannerisms that you have, for you to walk the way that you do, for you to have any moles or beauty marks on your face, for you to express yourself in a certain way, to talk in a certain way, to have a certain voice tone, to have ears of a certain size, a forehead of a certain size. It took over 4,000 ancestors for you to be that right now. So when you become open, the moment you choose to become open to those recognitions, first recognizing that every time you look in the mirror, you'll never get away from your ancestors because you are them. They are you. You see them, whether you know them or not. You're looking at them. And also understanding that you are not separate from them. They are not separate from you. The moment you make that recognition and to exist with that knowing, that when you become conscious of that connection with your ancestors, that's when your connection becomes intentional. That's when you actually become conscious of your connection. And that's when it becomes a part of your daily life. Now, there's plenty of people walking around here who are not conscious of that connection with their ancestors. So then, of course, they can't be intentional with the connection because they're not even conscious of that. They are not open to that recognition. Fine, has nothing to do with you. So notice I said, when you become conscious of your connection with your ancestors, because just because you have been, so when we go back to your religious experience, no, you were not conscious of your connection with your ancestors because you cut that off because you were told that it was evil, that your ancestors were evil, that to even think about that was evil. But that doesn't mean that they were not connected to you. Just because you are not conscious of the connection does not mean that your ancestors cut off their connection with you. They've always been there. Regardless of your religious experience, your ancestors never left you. Your ancestors remained. Period. So, I want to read you something. And this is from, oh wait, do I have the right volume? Okay, yes. Volume 1, Mami Wata, Unleashing Africa's Ancient Goddesses and Gods Unveiled, written by Mama Zagbe, Volume 1. And I'm reading from this is actually the index. Wait a minute. Okay. So I'm going to read you this regarding, it's a long paragraph. Okay, so stick with me. But this is going to seal what I've talked about in this episode and why you having that recognition of your ancestors is important. That has to be, so to answer that question of how do I connect, first recognizing that the connection has always been there and that every time you look in the mirror, you're looking at your ancestors. Have that recognition first. Okay, so I'm going to read this. As if this were not painful enough, on any given day, while cruising on the way to work, usually for one of their companies, and she's talking about how other people venerate their ancestors but have told you that venerating yours is evil. That's where I'm coming in on. Okay, so let me start all over. As if this were not painful enough, on any given day, while cruising on the way to work, usually for one of their companies, many must ride down roads, streets, and highways bearing their names. Many are forced to attend schools named after them and to study them and even pledge allegiance to them. Many are forced to proudly, quote, proudly, she's got that in quotes, articulate their ideas and ideals, or to recite their literature, remember their quotes, and pledge honor codes and secret oaths bearing their name. Yet, if anyone in the diaspora dare pour libation or offer food to acknowledge, strengthen, and venerate their own ancestors and deities, which we'll get into in other episodes, a lynch mob of conservative Christians and others are quickly to accuse them of idolatry and superstition, some even threatening legislation against their, quote, pagan and primitive, end quote, practices that they dare not tolerate in a, quote, principled and decent democracy. Worst still, the diaspora are pounded daily to forget about their past while being forced to remember and to honor the ancestors and pasts of others. This is what we just got through talking about. Listen to this, something is clearly wrong with this schizophrenic picture. So, if you ever wanted to know, and I'm thinking I may do an entire class on this. If I do a workshop like this, it's going to be inside of the private community that I'm going to open. Okay, I just decided that that's what I'm going to do. But anyway, this is how you connect with your ancestors. It does not have to be performative starting off. It can simply be you looking in the mirror, staring at yourself because you are staring at your ancestors, and you saying, I now reconnect with my benevolent ancestors, those I know and those I do not know. You are welcome here. I receive your guidance in this life, on this physical plane. It can be that simple start. Then you can get into lighting the candles. Do you need an ancestral altar? No, you don't. But if you decide to have one, if that's what is going to work for you for the moment, you may decide that after a year, you can take the ancestral altar down. And if you do decide to keep your ancestral altar up, it does not have to be big and elaborate. It can be a white candle and some water and something that represents your ancestors, what you know of. Because some of us, if you're like me, you don't know. You don't know them. You may know one or two of them, just, immediate. And that's fine because they know you. But you can start with being intentional about recognizing that over 4,000 ancestors were so that now you are. Okay? Now, if you have any other questions about how to connect with your ancestors, leave those in the comments for me, because quite frankly, that will help me mold this workshop to make sure that I'm providing the guidance that you need where ancestral veneration and ancestral connection and communication is concerned. All right. Leave me your feedback in the comments again. Oh, and if you have not done this already, go sign up to be on the Unleashed Alchemy weekly email list. Okay, go to unleashedalchemy.com. When you sign up today, you do get a complimentary PDF guide that will guide you on how to recognize where religious dogma is still playing out in your life and what to do to untangle from it. All right, once and for all. All right. Thank you to all of the new subscribers that you're here, that just got here. Okay. Thank you to those of you that have been here. For some reason, this channel just kind of exploded over the past 7 days. So we're here. All right. Black women are here, and we are ready to take our rightful place, to reclaim our spiritual authority, to reclaim our financial authority, to reclaim our political authority, to reclaim our ecclesiastical authority all over the world. We belong everywhere, and we are here. All right. Until next time, be sovereign.